that's like just in college, just men just being annoying. But then also, then you go to dating men. Prayers sent above to God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Because what is wrong with men these days? Dating wise, oh my gosh. And I'm not talking about my social media crushes that I have. Like, I don't understand why I can't have like a Vinny Hacker or a Noah Beck or like anyone that's like attractive and a good person in my vicinity. Like, why? I just don't understand how, like, some men just, I don't understand. Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast, Randomchatswananda. I'm your host, Ananda Cash. And if you've been watching my videos, my podcast, my YouTube for a little bit, you'd notice my hair is a little different. That's because I basically dyed it black, not back to black fully, because I still have some orange pieces in my hair. Basically, I have like the front pieces black and then the bottom half black, and then the rest of my hair is like the copper. So yeah, my hair's changed up. I straightened my hair because this week I'm going to see Arctic Monkeys, which I'm so excited about. I'm seeing them on Friday. Today's Wednesday. But of course, the week that I decide to take out my braids and do my hair and straighten it, of course, we have like basically a heat wave. Of course. Because why would the weather work in my favor? Why? Why would it, you know? So, it is currently like I don't even know how high. It's high. So I have like 2 fans on in my room because I have an AC. So if you're gonna hear the fan because it's really loud. Because if I don't have the fan out, I'm gonna sweat my hair out. But also I'm gonna be sweaty and just gonna lay in bed like this for like the entire day. So sorry for the fan noise, but you do what you gotta do. But in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the audacity of men. Now, it's kind of funny because this is like my 3rd or 4th video talking about men. And you're probably like, oh my goodness, you're such a men hater. I promise I don't hate men. I'm also going to say, whenever I say men in this video, I'm not talking about every single man. I'm not talking about every single man in the entire world. I'm just talking about some of them. Because, like, unfortunately with men, it's like 60% bad, 40% good. It's a 60-40. So I will just generalize to just say men. But just know I don't mean all men. So if you're offended by anything I say in this video, I'm probably talking about you, to be honest. Because men that understand why women get annoyed at men don't get offended when they explain their annoyances with men. They understand and they're like, yeah, like, I understand. Because, like, they either witnessed it firsthand with their friend, or they just know from, like, word of mouth from the woman in their lives. Anyway, the reason why I decided to film this video, this was very a very in the moment video for me to film, because I was watching a podcast on Bite My Tongue by Nyla, and she was talking about in her, like, her 2nd episode about how she thinks she's, like, genuinely afraid of men. And I just found it reminded me of how one of my friends, she's like in this like toxic work environment because these men keep like flirting with her, and like just like they keep flirting with her, and like they're like being like nice, but it's just like it's clear as day that they're only being nice to her because they're attracted to her, and she like is like annoyed by it. So I'm just like, well, she was telling me about it. She didn't even tell me the full story about it. She just gave me like the brief details about it, and I was just like, let me at them. Like, let me at them. I'm like, you know, I love humbling men. Like, you know, that's my specialty. That's like, I should have majored in it at this point. And then that reminded me of just how ever since I was literally a child, like I'm talking about fresh out the womb, and since elementary school, I have done in every single scenario when a boy or a man tried me, I literally did not let them leave the premises without knowing that I am not the one to be tried. I'm like, and I feel like whenever I talk about things like this about me, it might seem like, oh, like I'm trying to sound like I'm like a thug and like, I'm tough and all that. And it's like, I'm not trying to sound like, oh, look, I'm tough, I'm this. It's just like, I just do not allow men to walk all over me. And I'm not saying that like women that experience harassment from men, they allow that to happen to them, because some women just don't know how to confront men, and some women, you know, like other personal experiences. But it's just like, I just have never had a situation where, well, No. That's different. I've never had a situation where a man tried to like make me feel small or tried to like make a joke at me when they had no reason to. Like it's not. I'm not like a hee hee ha ha joke. It's more like a they were trying to roast me and look like funny in front of their friends, and I'm just there like, oh, I got the time today. All right, let's go. Like there's never been a time when a man tried it and they walked away feeling like they had a W. If anything, they came in a loser and left a major loser because like the way how I walked with a W and everyone knew about it, I was like, because if men got one thing, they got the audacity. They really do. And also literally today I was watching a TikTok of how this girl, like she has like 3 straight roommates, and this guy like went on like a Bumble like a pop-up and like got like 2 like bracelets and like gave one to her and expected her to wear it at all times. And then whenever she was just like, this is kind of an ugly bracelet and it's like itchy and it hurts. And he's like, oh, but like, I'm kind of offended that, like, he's like, if you don't like it, I'm gonna be sad. But then she was like, okay, so are you gonna wear it all the time? And he was like, yeah. But then if I'm on like a date, I'm not gonna wear it because it's like ugly and gross. It's like, okay, so you can wear this bracelet whenever you want, but I have to wear it at all times. Interesting. So, and I thought she was just making this up. And then she showed receipts of a conversation through text. I was like, oh, she's being for real. And it was just like, the TikTok was just so funny because it's like, men will act like that. And then, like, be so, like, oblivious to their own behavior. Like, you cannot sit here and tell me that you're behaving this way and you think that what you're doing is fine. Or that you're being serious. Like, it's just like, you really sitting here with your whole chest acting like that. Like, are you not embarrassed? It's just like, it's just comical. Like, men are funny. Men are comedians. You know what? The men that say women are funny, you know what? You're right. Women are funny because we do not have the intellectual skills to naturally behave this stupid. Like, I do not have the skills to naturally behave that way and be serious about it. Like, I can't do it and be serious. Like, you guys do it naturally. Like, it just comes out of your blood veins. Like, it's just natural to you to be this, like, idiotic sometimes. And it's just funny. It's really funny. Again, not all men. Because the good men, they're good men. And they can witness it and they're like, yeah, bro, I can't defend them. They're like, I ain't got nothing to do with them. Like, that's them. And it's just really funny because it just reminds me of all the times when I was like even in the elementary school, I remember there was like, I'm trying to remember, there was this kid, I remember in 2nd grade, when there was this boy. And mind you, it's kind of common for like girls to be taller than the boys in elementary school, and then in like middle school and high school, that's when the guys get the growth spurts. Some of them don't, but most of them do. So then it was very common for the girls to be taller. So why this 2-foot boy came up to me and was like, oh, like something, he was talking to me about something, and then he was like, oh, you got a peanut head. And I was looking at him like, we not even friends with that for you to be trying to roast me and it be funny. 1. 2, how are you gonna talk about me having a small portion of my body when you're literally barely 2 feet tall? Go soon before I stomp you like a roach. Like, get out of here. Like, I was just looking at him like, I don't even know what I said back to him, but I did say something back to him. And then why, like, a few days later, it's like coming up to my birthday, or like time passed and it comes up to my birthday, and then I'm talking about, like, I think I was having like a party or something, like something was happening with my birthday. And why he come up to me with my dad picking me up, and he said, oh, like, can I come to like your birthday party? And I was like, no, you can't come. And why I got called mean? I'm like, bro, I don't even like this boy. First of all, I don't even like him, and he's trying to come to my birthday party? No, I'm not being mean. I'm being straightforward because this boy tried to roast me like months ago about my head size. And on top of that, he's annoying and obnoxious. And I, like, the way how I didn't like most of the boys at my elementary school, it was ridiculous because a lot of them were being bullies, they were being annoying. And here's the thing about that. I feel like the reason why boys are annoying is because, yeah, they're naturally annoying. But the thing is, when a girl's annoying, we get called all types of names out the wazoo. The minute a boy's annoying, boys will be boys. And that's the problem with society. We let men behave like this. And that's why it's so natural for them to behave like this, because we let them do it all the time. Whereas if a woman does one thing that a man does, all of a sudden we get called 12,000 names, and then we have to cry ourselves in a journal. And not, I was going to say a really dark humor joke. I'm not going to say it. Oh my gosh. Anyway, anyway, so that was just one time. And there was another time when there was like this boy that, like, I don't know, he was just obnoxious. He was just so annoying. Like, I was just like, he was just so annoying. And I was like, bro, like, what's wrong with you? And I remember one time he was like trying, like, I don't know if he was pretending to like me or he was being serious, but I was like, ew, get away from me, freak. Like, no. Like, you are annoying. You are so, no, get away from me. I want nothing to do with you. Stay away. Stay away. And I remember in middle school, bro, in 6th grade, there was this boy I argued with all the time. And you know, like in middle school, like there's that thing where it's like you're mean to the person that you actually have a crush on. So why everyone? Oh, let me have a know. Yeah, didn't tell me. Anyway, so people was thinking that like me and this boy were arguing because we liked each other, and I was like, the way how I could care less about this boy, the way how I would snuff him on sight. Yo, I really, really did not like him. Like, we argued all the time. Like, almost every single day in class for months. Almost the whole year at this point. Every single time. And we were in a group. If we had to do group work, we would argue. Something would happen and we'd be arguing. And they're like, yo, like, you guys are so annoying. Like, oh, look at them. Like, they're like, oh, like, they're a couple. I was like, I could not. I would kiss a frog over kissing that boy. He is atrocious, disgraceful, ugly. Like, I was like, I cannot stand that boy. I cannot, and I truly could not stand him. Like, there was another boy that I was arguing with a lot that I did have a crush on, but that was like, I was like 15 or something. That was in high school. That was, and he wasn't in my high school, but like, I worked with him a summer ago. But like, that was different. But like, it wasn't like the arguments that I had with that boy that I had a crush on were like stupid, like small little dainty fights. It was just like us bickering. This boy, this rat, different situation. I was not like kiki bickering. I was like, it was giving a couple on the verge of divorce. Like, we were going at it. Like, the way how I don't know if I was screaming at him. Like, I did not like him. And I'm pretty sure he didn't like me back, like, genuinely. But, like, the bickering was ridiculous. It was crazy. And then I remember this other boy. It's always these stupid boys. Then there was this other boy that we lived in the same building. Oh my gosh. And the minute he found out I lived in his building, we lived in the same building on the same floor. It was like, I was like, I cannot escape this menace. I cannot escape this menace. The minute he found out, why was he flexing that he lived there longer? He's like, oh, you're living in my building. I was living there longer than you. I'm like, bro, we live in the projects. Why are you flexing about living in the projects? Like, what is it to flex about? I'm embarrassed that I live here. I don't want to be here. You're over here flexing about living in a like, babes, why do y'all want to flex so hard to be the winner? Like, why you? And so he was like, oh, you're living in my building. You're living in my building. Oh, like, oh. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And of course, him and the boy I was arguing with were friends. Of course. Then there was this, there was this other kid in like 7th grade. Oh, there were so many annoying boys. Like, oh my gosh, I wanted to fight every single one of them. There was this other annoying boy. Obnoxious. And he was just like, the reason why I'm not explaining what they would do is because I generally don't. I just remembered how annoyed I was with them. They were just so annoying. And you're probably thinking that I didn't have any guy friends. I did have guy friends. And like, they were annoying. But these boys they were so annoying. Obnoxious, annoying, disgraceful. So there was this one boy in like 7th grade that like, I think I went to the same summer camp as him, or like he transferred into my school in 7th grade. And then like, he was just a menace. And all the menaces are friends. All of them are friends. So then during the summer, I had to go to summer camp with this kid, and I was like, no, why are you here? Go home. So all summer, this boy would be, all summer. Like, even like he would be with his friend, and then he'll come and do some stupidness, and I'm just like, I literally want to square fight you. I want to square up with you right now, like, on sight. Oh my gosh, these boys were so annoying. And I remember in 6th grade, I probably explained this before in like another video where I was like my weird interactions with men. Well, this is 6th grade. But I remember there was this boy that I literally, like, he was just a kid. Like, he was like a kid in our class, whatever. But then I remember, like, he told me he liked me, and my reaction was to slap him. Hear me out. The reason why I slapped him was because before he told me this, like, I think, like, maybe like a few minutes before, I witnessed him go to my friend and tell her the same thing about like how he had a crush on her or whatever. And then she basically politely turned him down, like, oh, like, sorry, I'm not interested. Then 1 few minutes later, he comes up to me and tells me he likes me. And I was like, I felt like someone sloppy seconds. And I was like, you're disgusting. How dare you go to my friend, tell her you like her, and then when she rejects you, then you want to come to me. I was like, you are not going to make me feel like a sloppy second. So I slapped him because I felt disrespected. I was like, you're so disrespectful and rude and ugly. Like, ew. Like, not ugly personality. Ugly, not ugly as an appearance, ugly as a personality. I was like, that's so disgraceful and ugly of you. How dare you do that to me? So I slapped him because I felt disrespected. Do I feel bad about it? A little bit, simply because I feel like maybe he liked multiple girls and he was trying to close to every girl he liked and not just like one by one, like, oh, she don't like me, so I'm gonna go to the next person. I think he was just telling all the girls he liked that he liked them. So I did feel like, if that was the case, I do feel bad because I just slapped him for no reason. But I felt disrespected, so like, whatever. Anyway, and then in 8th grade, there was this boy that was really annoying to like basically everybody. And then why this boy had the audacity to try to bully one of my friends on Facebook. Oh my gosh, this was like the story of the year, because boy did he, oh, that story, I could have a whole other podcast about like fights, because that fight, I think I talked about it in the podcast before, but like there was a day in 7th grade where there was like 4 fights in a single period. It was my science class, and me and my friend were like, yo, what's in the air? Because why is everyone squaring up with people? It was crazy. And in the 8th grade, my friend got into this fight with a kid that was trying to bully her on social media. Whoa. She beat him up. She beat him up. But I say that to say that this kid was annoying. He was one of those kids that like you can tell he was financially like not like he was in a lower, like everyone was like relatively kind of similar financially. Like we weren't middle class. We were like maybe the bottom of middle class. Like either like the poor, like the top of the poor class, or like the bottom of middle class. We were all relatively in the same financial situation. Like our parents were making enough money. Like all parents lived paycheck to paycheck. We were doing what we were doing. We was doing basically. But you could tell he was like lower. He was like poor class, like poor middle, like he wasn't like the poor class, but like the middle of the poor class. You can like basically tell. But I think he felt like because of his financial situation, he had to be like, he tried to like make fun of people, like make fun of people before they can make fun of him. But it was just like he was trying to make fun of people's financial status, about like trying to roast people about their clothes. Like one time he tried to come up me from where I was like, boy, I know you was not and it's like that was just like, in middle school, that's when I found out people had men had the audacity to just do stupid stuff. Because how you gonna try to make fun of me for the one day I wear high ones when you wear high ones every single day? Every single day you wear high ones. You wear shirts that are 2 sizes too big because they probably hate me down. I'm like, boy, do not try to come for me on financial situations. When my financial situations make me, compared to you, I'm filthy rich. Like, boy, don't make me start. I was just like, and mind you, I was gonna leave him alone. And he was just like, wait, whenever he tried to come at me, I was like, boy, I know you was not trying to come at me about financial status when you are really poor. I'm like, don't come for me. Like, that was the thing. I was like, do not. I was gonna leave because I could tell he was not financially well. So I was like, oh, you feel bad for him. And never once did I ever try to make fun of him for it. But when he tried to make fun of me about my clothes, I was like, boy, I have better clothes than you will ever see in your entire life. Don't come for me because I will roast you to the eons. Like, you'll be going to heaven because you ascended from all the roast I just did. Like, oh my gosh. Like, you can tell, can you feel the rage? And now here's one thing. I will say that the only time when a boy went up me was when they came about my body image. And that's only because my body was already insecurity of mine ever since I was a child. So like whenever like the peanut comment about my head, it didn't affect me at that moment. But then now currently I do feel like my head is a bit smaller because of I feel like my shoulders are too broad for my head. So I do oftentimes, like I don't wear my hair in updos because I feel like the fact that you can see how wide my shoulders are makes me insecure. So I feel like I always have to have like long hair to cover the fact that my shoulders are like really broad. Because I have long limbs. I'm a long gal. Like I have long arms, long legs, whatever. So like I do feel insecure about that now, but at the time I didn't. But like that same kid that tried to roast me about my high waters one time, he made a comment about my thighs, and I was like, ooh, you got me there. You got me there because I was already insecure with my body. So like the only time when boys got me was when they made jokes about my insecurities. That's the only time when I was like, okay, you got me. Other than that, if it was an insecurity, which was basically just my body, I was like, the way how I did not tolerate anybody. Like when I mean anybody, I mean no boy could come up to me and then try to disrespect me because I'm like, boy, I will respectfully, you need to leave me alone because I will put you in your place. And I always do. Now, that boy specifically, now, when I was in middle school and in high school, here's the thing about me. Even though, like, the thing about me is that, like, I was, like, a very, like, I could either be quiet or intimidating. There was really in between. And it's funny because I remember in 8th grade, there was a boy that, like, actually liked me. And I had a crush on him for, like, 2 days. And then, like, whatever. So, like, I had a crush on him for, like, 2 days. But then before, I don't know if he had a crush on me. We had a crush on each other at the same time. But I remember, like, because, like, I had a crush on him in 8th grade. And then we ended up talking again when we were, like, 17. And we talked for, like, a month. And then I ended things. I'm not going to get into it. But we did talk later. But then he was like, oh, like, I had a crush on you back in, like, 8th grade. But I was too scared to talk to you because he said he made a joke about us being a couple, and the way how I responded, he was like, yeah, no, I ain't gonna try with her. Because basically, I think he was like trying to test the waters to see if, like, I would be open to talking to him. And I think I roasted him too hard. Like, he got, like, offended, or, like, he was, like, hurt by what I said. And he was like, I'm just scared to, like, try. I was like, oh, I feel so bad. Because, like, I didn't even realize. I was like, I'm, like, 13. I'm not aware of how much potential, how much strength, how much oomph my roast had. Because I really just had no clue. And I didn't realize it until literally college, when people would tell me how intimidating I was. Like, if people weren't my friends and they just saw me roasting my friends, they were like, dang, girl, you kinda mean. And I'm like, no, it's a joke. Like, it's a joke. But, like, because I remember one time, like, 2 years ago, I was, like, asking people, like, oh, first impressions of me, just randomly, because I was curious. Because I realized that, like, the way how, like, because I was finally overcoming my, like, severely low self-esteem from high school. Like, college, I was reinventing myself, figuring myself out. And then I was, like, trying to figure out how other people, because I feel like everyone perceived me as, like, this invisible person. Like, no one noticed me or anything. So now that I realized I was being perceived by people, I was like, wait, how do people perceive me? So I asked people, and it's funny because, like, my two best friends both said I was rude. But, like, my college friend thought I was rude because I didn't speak to her. But then she realized I wasn't speaking to her because I was rude. I didn't speak to her because I had social anxiety. So she was like, oh, she's just anxious. Okay, that's different. And my best friend in high school, I don't know why. I think it was just because of my attitude, like just the tone that I would talk. But, like, it was just me just being jokey. So whatever. So then she was like, okay, but then I finally was kind of cool. So a lot of people would either say I was quiet or that I was intimidating, because this one girl, she was like, oh, that, like, whenever I saw the way how you joke with your friends, I was like, dang. Like, first looking at it, I was like, dang, she kind of scary. But then she realized that, like, that was my sense of humor with them, and that, like, it was reciprocated on both sides. Like, it was equal. It was mutual. So she was like, oh, okay, that's just her sense of humor. But she was like, first impression, she was like, it was kind of intimidating. I was like, oh my gosh, like, people really found me intimidating as a child, and I just found it very crazy. At first, I was like, me intimidating? How can I be? Now looking back at it, I'm like, I fully get it. I fully understand, because I'm like, I was a gremlin. I was a little gremlin. And here's my thing. I had my reasons to be a gremlin. Like, I was mentally going through it. So, like, first of all, I was a teenager. I was just the girl. At the end of the day, I was just the girl. Like, I'm still just the girl, but, like, I was just the girl. I was just a teenage girl going through the normal hormonal emotions of a teenager. And on top of that, I had mental health issues. So that was another layer of just issues. Like, I just had issues. It was given onion. I had 7 layers of issues. So that's why I was the menace that I was. But, like, whenever I was a menace to boys, regardless of the mental health issues, I'm going to be a menace in regards, because they need to be humbled. So this is the whole point of this podcast, me humbling men. So in 6th grade, I was doing it in, like, elementary school, like, just, like you're being annoying, like, leave me alone. And then I remember in middle school, that's when I really started getting at boys. Because, like, in 6th grade, me and that boy would argue all the time. Like, almost every single day in class, we would argue. So that happened in 6th grade. And in 7th grade, this annoying boy. And the worst part about the boy in 7th grade and the boy in 6th grade, they were friends, right? Why? In high school, I'm on the flag football team, right? In my junior year of high school, and I'm in an away game. While I went to an away game and I went to their high school and they saw me, oh, I literally was so petrified that entire day. I was like, ain't no way. Ain't no way. And they recognized me. Like, I recognized them, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is a joke. This is a joke. And then why they saw me, and was like, oh, hi, Ananda. I was like, no, leave me alone. They would not leave me alone. Like, they kept calling my name. I would not turn around. I was like, I refused. And then my teammates were like, there's these two boys. I'm like, I can hear them. I'm well aware. Just ignore them. So some people looking at it like, oh, why are they like trying to call you? And I was like, I went to middle school with them. I don't like either one of them. They're menaces. Do not go up to them. Just ignore them. Leave them alone. So I really had to ignore them the entire. I think they stayed to watch me. And we lost it too. That wasn't even embarrassing. Like, I feel like if my team would have won, I'd be like, yeah, now suck it. But we lost. But I was just like, y'all can't leave me alone. Y'all can't leave me alone. Like, we in high school. Let it go. Like, I saw y'all. I didn't want nothing to do with y'all. I wanted to leave y'all alone. I was gonna pretend like y'all didn't even exist. Y'all saw me and was like, oh, look, it's Ananda. Hi, Ananda. Ananda. I was like, yo, I want to deck y'all both in the face right now. Right now. Like, if I was to ever see them boys, I would literally act like they don't exist. Why they couldn't do the same thing? Why we couldn't just agree to just pretend like we don't know each other? No, they want to be menaces to my society and be like, oh, let's say hi to her. Like, hi, friend. Like, I'm not your friend. I'm not your friend. Anyway, going back to 8th grade. Then 8th grade, the boy that was annoying. The reason why I mentioned that boy was being annoying, not only because he was trying to roast me, but there was a day where he was really pissing me off. And, basically, hands were put on him. Like, I put my hands on him. I don't want to display. I don't want to discuss, because here's the thing. Like, I was going to a point about something, and I really went sidetracked. I was going to mention, like, also as a kid, like, I was, like, very, like, vocal about my opinions about people that annoyed me, but also, I put my hands on people that really aged me, bothered me. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't really a fighter. Here's the thing. I got into physical altercation with people, like, 4 different times. Well, one time, it was completely self-defense because the boy was trying to attack me because I said he couldn't play tag. Now, I will say maybe the reason why he felt like he needed to harm me, the reason why I didn't hit him is because he was in special ed class, and I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, if it was a regular boy, it would have been on site. But, like, he was in special ed, so I was like, I don't want to fight you because it's like, I don't, like, you know, like, I don't want to fight you. Like, leave me alone. Like, basically, I was playing tag with my friend, and then he like, basically tried to ask me if he could join the game. But I was like, oh, they were kind of already in the middle of it. So I was like, oh, like, no, they were kind of already in the middle of the game. And I wasn't, like, excluding him out because I'm like, ew, no. Like, it was just like, oh, like, sorry, we're already, like, really in the middle of it. And, like, we kind of don't want to add anyone else in. I would have said it to anybody that asked to play. But he got offended, and then he tried to swing at me. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I meant to tell my friend this story, because all I remember was him going like, ah, like literally trying like this. Like, it was giving like you know how zombies are like that, but instead he was like trying to attack me. I'm not doing this to make fun of him. That's literally what he was doing to me. And I literally was like, hello, what are you doing? And then one of his teachers came. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm like, nah, it's fine. Like, it's okay. So then, like, she walked him away. That was the only time when I didn't hit him because I was like, he's special. I don't want to, like, you know, hurt him. And in 8th grade, I did put my hands on him because he really did piss me off. Because I was telling him, I was like, you need to leave me alone. Like, for real, like, you're really pissing me off today. And I had some anger in me as a child and in high school, but more so in elementary school and middle school for reasons I will not discuss. I have an anger. I have a pent-up anger as a kid. Like, when I look back at my, like, because I remember one time I was telling somebody, they was like, oh, like, how did you deal with, like, I've never, like, really seen you angry. I was like, yeah, because I chose not to, like, expose my anger because anger is an ugly emotion to express to people. So I'm like, I choose not to do that because of personal experience. So I'm like, I choose peace. I will not show my anger because I know what it's like to receive that, and I want to know how I am. But, like, there were times when I was vicious to people because they really pissed me off. So my anger, like, the way how I responded, you could be like, oh, girl, all right, like, and it's kind of like, sometimes it's kind of embarrassing to, like I don't flex that, like, the things that I threaten people, like, I'm not proud of it, because it's like, I was a kid. I was a kid. What was I to do? But I definitely like remember, like I put him in chokehold. Basically, I did all that just to be like, I basically put this boy in chokehold because he really pissed me off, and I had him in chokehold. I was holding him, and then before I did that, he was pissing me off. So then I was just like, leave me alone. You really need to leave me alone. And then he kept being like, oh, like what you gonna do? And so as I'm getting ready to run, pew, he is gone. He is nowhere to be seen. That boy ran so fast you would have thought he was the freaking bird from the freaking cartoon with the one that goes beep beep. You would have thought he was him. You would have thought that bird, he was that bird. Like he pew, ran so fast. And why I'm running and I'm not moving? Because I have a book bag on and all his friends were holding me back. But we're like, I was their friends too. So they were just like, don't do it. Like literally they were holding my book bag and they were like, don't do it. He's not worth your time. Like just ignore him, leave him alone. I was like, let me go. Let me at him. Because I was really mad this day. And he kept pissing me off. So I was ready to fight him full-fledged, to beat him to a pulp. And they were like, don't do it. Don't do it. Because they knew I would beat him up bad. And I was like, fine. So then I was like, okay, let me go. So let me go. And I go, and mind you, there's like 4 or 5 boys, but I'm the only girl in the situation, mind you. It's me, because we're all like waiting to go in our English class to get our coats at the end of the day. And so we're all waiting for our coats, and he kept bothering me. I tried to chase him, he left, and so like 4 boys are behind me, holding me off. Like they're holding my book bag, because I had my book bag on, and I went to go charge at him, and they all were like holding me, maybe not all of them, but like at least 2 of them were holding me back. And I was like, let me go. And they were like, nah, just like, no, don't do it. So I was like, whatever, fine. And then we go into a classroom. He still has to get his coats. He has to come back eventually. But then he comes. So basically he comes in the classroom and I just sneak attack and I just went. I was like, I told you to leave me alone. So I had him in the chokehold for like a hot minute. And then the reason why I let go is because he was gasping for air. So I was like, okay, I don't want to make him be unconscious or anything. Like, I just wanted to teach him a lesson to leave me alone. Because last year, there was a girl that did that to a boy, put him in a chokehold, he passed out. Like, she held him in a chokehold until he passed out. And I was like, oh. And she walked away. And now, she was kind of a bully. I'm not going to lie. She was, like, a little bit of a bully. Because she was, like, I think a year or 2 older than us. But she was a little bit of a bully. But I don't know what that boy did to her. It wasn't the same boy. It was someone else. I don't know what he did to her, but he pissed her off, and she put him in chocolate, and he passed out. And I was like, oh. So I heard him gasping for air, and I was like, well, I don't want him going out. Because then I was like, if he passes out, then I'm going to get in trouble because there's no teachers around. I'm going to have to call a teacher. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble for making him pass out. But he was pissing me off. So I was like, you know what? I'll let you breathe. And I was like, next time, leave me alone like I said. I said leave me alone. Or I'll do it again. So I was like, whatever. Anyway. That was the last time I put my hands on somebody. I almost got into a fight in 10th grade, but again, story from the time. But yeah, I was just like, my hands are ready to eat for everyone. I've always said that. I said that since I felt that way since I was a child, and I stand by it to this day. I'm serious, to this day. Because I remember one time at a concert, there was this couple, and I hate couples when you're in the pit and they find some reason to, first of all, it's tight space and they're squeezing their way in, and he has his hands all over her. They're trying to like dance. I'm like, there's no space for you to be acting like this. Is Valentine's Day. And I was just thinking in my head, I was sizing him up. I was like, if I say something to this man and he tries to put his hands on me, do I have a chance at beating him up? Because if so, and here's the thing, even if I don't have the chance, I will still defend myself. Like, I will fight anybody that puts their hands on me. Unless, I feel like 9 out of 10, I will put my hands on you if it's self-defense. Because I was looking at him, we were like about the same height, he might be like an inch taller. I was looking at him like, this boy is really annoying me. He kept like slowly hitting me, and I was like, I am 2 seconds from fighting this man, like for real. And he was really pissing me off because he kept like doing stuff that was like, we don't have the space for that. Stop. You're looking so stupid. Like, I get it, you're at a concert with your girlfriend. I don't care. I'm also trying. It was a Dominic Fight concert. It was December last year. We did a Dominic Fight. I was with my best friend, and she kept like jokingly they pushed me to other people because they kept pushing us, and I was just there like, stop pushing me, because if I'm so close to literally hitting somebody because how pissed I am right now. This stupid boy with his girlfriend, they were like dancing, and I was just like, I'm so close to decking you and her in the face. Stop moving. Like, it was annoying. So I was literally sizing him up, but I'm like, and my friend had no idea I was thinking it. I was so close to fighting that guy. And she was like, oh, I'm being serious. I for real was about to fight him. Like, he was pissing me off. So anyway, whatever. So yeah, so my hands are ready for everyone. Like, I will fight anybody. Anybody. Well, not kids. I'll roast them, but I won't fight them because that's a child. But like, 18 up. Square up. But yeah, so I was always at the point where I was like, I'll fight anybody. Like, if I feel like I have to defend myself, I will. And I don't care, boy, girl, don't matter the gender, don't matter the height. If you taller than me, I'll fight you. I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, cause I'm not gonna let you sit here and think that I'm, like, I may have social anxiety, but I ain't no punk. Like, if I feel like I'm being disrespected, I will literally go beast mode. Anyway, the whole purpose of this is to talk about men. I'm still on that topic. Anyway, so I remember, and like, what was it, in high school? Oh my gosh, in high school. I feel like I remember there was this boy that, like, since like freshman year, this boy was annoying. And it's funny because after he basically got rejected by more so, like, kind of by me, but more so by my friend, after he got rejected by the both of us, that's when he became a menace. Because why? He was at first just, like, kind of weird and annoying, but, like, you know, you're your own person, everyone. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm annoying to people, too. So it's just like, you know, you're being your own person. He wasn't my cup of tea, so I just left him alone. Then I find out that, like, he liked two of my friends, and one of my friends at that time in high school, she was practically a lesbian because all she did was girls at the time. So basically he liking her, she was like, I don't even like you. Like, at this point, it's like, I don't even like your gender at this point in time. My other friend, she just wasn't interested in him. Then all of a sudden, he started to become a menace because he got turned down by two girls. And then one day, I remember in class, I was in humanities class, and now I'm like, the smart board is like, let's say the smart board is the camera. And my back is to the smart board because I was like getting something from a bookshelf. And I have on these jeans, and like I have on the regular outfit. So why this boy comes up to me and he goes, oh, I like your American Eagle jeans. Now, during this time, it was like 2013, because I was a freshman in high school. Why? Now, the only way you can tell my jeans were from American Eagle is if you were looking at my butt. So I was just like, oh, you're not even trying to hide the fact that you're just looking at my body. I was just like, I remember literally turning around, and I was like, get away from me. I literally was just like, walk away. I think I said like, walk away, or just like, I gave him the face. I gave him the stankiest face I could have given a man in my, like, I never felt so disgusted. I was just like, walk away. Or like, go away. And he was just like, well, I was like, walk away. Go away right now. And when my friend looked at it, she's like, what happened? So I tell her what happened. I think I told her, but like basically after that, that's when he became racist to both of us. And I was like, oh, like looking back at it, I was like, oh, so you're just mad because you got rejected. So whatever. So then every single time, like, cause also the thing about this boy, what was annoying to me is that he swore he was a know-it-all. He thought he knew everything. So like he just thought he knew everything, and he was so smart and so wise. So it's just like, it's not like it's because like, he knew the answers to everything. He just thought he knew everything. Even when he was wrong, he thought he was right. I'm like, so we're in La La Land now? Because what delusion are we living in? Like, I don't understand. So that's why me and my friend will always argue with him, because and it's funny because like I think we would individually argue with him, but then one of my friends, like I didn't notice it at the time, but one of my friends was like, because we were all in the same class, she was like, yo, like the way how you and her, like so-and-so was arguing with this guy, like if basically it was like, if she was arguing with him, I somehow got in the argument. If I was arguing with him, eventually she would get in the argument, because basically it would be like, I would be arguing with him, and then people eventually get annoyed, because it's not like as if like we're arguing in private. Like the whole class can see us having this argument. And at some point when people are arguing in class, you kind of get annoyed. And if the person that's in the wrong won't take the L, you gotta be like, yo, just shut up already. So she would always be the one to be like, yo, but like, you're not even right about the situation. So then he would attack her. I'm like, you're not gonna be attacking my friend like that. So we would just be tag teaming him every single time. It's the funniest thing that looking back at it, it is the funniest thing ever, because it's like, one thing about us, we're not gonna let each other, like, the one thing about that's a ride or die for real. Like, and we're still friendly. That's my best friend now. Like, we're friends to this day. And we're like, she's the most aggressive friend I have. And like, I love her. She's my bestie. And it's just so funny how like we were so aggressive. We're still aggressive to each other now, but like our aggressiveness towards each other is like mutual and civil, and it's always a joke. But like the way how we were to other people, if someone was bothering one of us, they're bothering both of us. If it was a girl, we would just like let each other just argue. But if it was getting out of hand, we'd be like, you're not gonna do this to my friend. Not my friend. But if it was a man, we'll let each other argue for a little bit. But if it was going for too long, I'd be like, all right, bro, just take the L. You're wrong. Like, just take the L. Like, and he's like, oh, like, what you get in this? And then she'd be like, you're not gonna be yelling at my... And it's like, we'll just be both yelling at him. And it happened, like, anytime we were in the same class together, it happened. Like, we would always argue with him. Like, it was just crazy. So it was just very funny. That happened in high school. And then it's just like, just men will be men. And in college, bro, there was this guy. No, there was several occasions where I had to deal with just the audacity of men. Because I remember in college, my sophomore year of college, I was hanging, like, my sophomore fall semester of college was the most college experience I, like, had. Because that's when I was hanging out with, like, a group of friends. And, like, we would all, like, go out all the time. And then, like, that was the most college, like, stereotypical out of a movie experiences that I ever had in my 4 years of college there. Like, that one semester had so much drama. And just, a lot just happened that one semester. Like, I feel like I can make a whole other podcast about that, too. Because there's this one story that's really funny. It wasn't funny for my friend that had to experience it. It was just... I had to make another episode about college because it was just so funny. Like, I felt so bad for him. Because it was one of those situations where it was just like, when you had, like, it's like roommate situation. Because the guy that I'm talking about was my friend's roommate. And I felt so bad for him. I was like, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this boy. Like, this menace of a man. Anyway, so this guy would hang out with my friend group pretty often. And basically, we would be like, because basically, me and my two friends, we all had the same job as like night host. And basically, we would have the same job. Like, the job basically, to sum it up, it was basically, I just basically say security for the college dorm, like night security. Basically, that's what we were. So whenever one of us was working, if I was working a shift, my two friends would come downstairs. Well, we were on the lobby. Like, I was living on the 3rd floor, but whenever I had to work my shift, it was on the lobby. So they both lived on the lobby on the guy's side and the girl's side. So whenever I was working, they would come and hang out with me. So whenever the three of us were all co-workers. If one of us was working, we were all working, basically. Because, like, we basically just come down just to hang out with each other. So anytime we were working, one of us was working a shift, we would all be there to hang out. And then my friend had 2 other friends that she went to high school with. So then they would also come, because they would have a different dorm. But they would come, and it would be the 5 of us hanging out all the time. It was so fun. I had a great time with them. And then there was this guy that would occasionally come, because he's one of my friend's roommates. He would come occasionally and, like, be like, oh, hey, what's going on, blah, blah. And the fun thing about this guy is that I already know who he is because one of my friends went to high school with him. So I just heard stories about this man because our freshman year, she was on the same floor as him in the same dorm that we were living in my sophomore year. And she told me stories about how she had to interact with him and, like, whenever she saw him on the floor, but also how, like, in high school, how she had to interact with him. And so then, like, a year later, we're living in the same dorm that she was living in freshman year. And now I'm, like, seeing him. I'm like, oh, that's the kid that she was talking about. I said, okay, let me just see how he is. And then my first few interactions with him, like, not me speaking to him, but just me seeing him as a person, I was like, respectfully, not my vibe. But you know what? It's okay. So whatever. So, like, my friends were, like, cordial with him, but no one really liked him. Like, no one liked him enough to be like, oh, hey, do you want to hang out with us outside of, like... The only time when he was hanging out with us when he saw us hanging out in the lobby. That was it. We never invited him to hang out with us because we didn't like him like that. Like, I didn't like him at all. But, like, everyone else talked to him. Like, one of my friends, again, that was his roommate, so he was being civil with him. He was okay with him. because he was okay with mostly anyone, because that kid, man, was a popular kid on campus. Like, he knew everybody. So he was cordial with him. And then my other friends, they were like cordial with him too, but no one really liked him. So he was just kind of annoying. But again, whenever he was around, I just was quiet. Like, I never spoke to him because I was like, I got nothing nice to say to you, so I'm gonna just keep to myself and just be quiet. But then there was this one day, it was really, really funny. Because basically he came, something happened, and he was basically talking to us. Then one of my friends goes, like, basically talking about, we were talking about something. And then he was just like, oh, like, he said something to my friend, and she's like, oh, but like, do you even know our names? Basically, like, something along the conversation to where she was like, oh, but do you even know my name? Like, what's our name? Like, the two girls that went to high school with my coworker, those are the two girls that were talking. He was like, oh, so what's my name? So then he was like, he thought about it for a little bit, then he said her name. So the other girl goes, oh, so what's my name? Y'all, his response was so embarrassing. It's hilarious. So why he couldn't find out, he didn't know her name. So then he tried to be slick with it. And he goes, oh, like, I didn't know your name because I was too busy staring at your beautiful eyes. When I tell y'all, at the room, the lobby was quiet. The lobby, you could hear a pin drop. That's how embarrassing that was. Yo, everyone looked at him and we were like, and no one was talking. It was like a solid minute of silence. Like, I keep like 30 seconds to a minute of just straight nothing. And I had to be the one. I just couldn't keep my mouth shut because I don't speak to this man at all. Every time he comes, I don't speak to him. So I was like, that was embarrassing. And then it was like, that was embarrassing. Like, I was like, no, I think I said that was bad. That was all I said. I was like, that was bad. I was like, and he was like, yeah, I know. I was like, that was really bad. And then he said, I'm gonna go see myself out. I'm sorry for that. I'm gonna go. And then he left, and I literally told my friend, I was like, I'm so sorry you had to experience that. Like, it felt like she, like, experienced trauma. She was like, I feel so disgusting right now. And we were all like, I am so sorry for your experience, for your trauma, girl. I'm so sorry I just experienced that. That was the funniest thing that he ever said out of his mouth, ever. It was just hilarious. Like, that man was literally such a mess. And also, like, sometimes, like, again, I didn't speak to him whenever he was around, but he knew I didn't like him because, one, I never spoke to him. But also, whenever I did speak, it was nothing nice because sometimes I only speak to people whenever, if I don't like you, I only speak to you if you come out your face about something. Like, because basically, one time, it was me, my friend, and him. And he was trying to come at my friend about something. Like, I think, no, because he was, like, he was asking my friend about something. And then she said that, like, she was, like, stays in her room or something, like, about how she doesn't really do much. And then he tried to come at her like, oh, like, someone doesn't have a social life. And she was just like, huh? And again, like, the reason, and then so I was like, says the one that only come, like, like, what did I say? Because the comeback was quick. I was just like, you're not going to come at my friend like that. Like, and I think I was like, says the one that, like, literally comes out here that only has friends when they, like, says the one that comes out here every time we're in the lobby. Like, the only reason why you come out here because you have no life yourself. Like, basically, I'm like, you have no social life because half the time you're in your room and you only come out here because you hear us talking. Because you can hear us talking and you're like, oh, who's in the lobby? Let me go see. Let me go talk to them. You have no life. You have no social life. She has more of a social life than you have. I was like, boy, don't try to come for my friend. Not my friend. You're not going to do that. And then he was quiet because he was like, no, my boy, you're not going to come for my friend like that. I was like, and it was just so quick because I didn't like him, and then for him to come out his face like that, I was like, you're not gonna come at my friend like that. Oh. And yeah, and then eventually he left because he was just like, okay. So then it was funny because there was a situation where basically we were both applying to be an RA, and then we were at, I think, the second stage of because there was like 3 stages. So at the second stage where we had to be like group projects, and of course, I felt this was a test from God. Because why was he in my group? I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This is a joke. This is a joke from God himself. This is a joke from God himself. So you know what I did? I was very professional. I was cordial. I, like, spoke to him. when I need to speak to him, and I pretended like I didn't know him and that I didn't like him. I let all my feelings be pushed aside because I was like, I want to get this job because I want to be able to have free room and board. So I was like, you're not going to get in the way of me getting this RA position. So I did the best I could be cordial, this and blah, blah, we talking, whatever. Why at the end of it, we come out, and my two friends are like waiting for me outside. So then it was like, oh, how was your like group thing? How was it? And I was like, oh, it was pretty good. Like, and I was like, oh, you'll never believe he was in my group though. And I was gonna like express that like this guy was in my group. They go, oh yeah, like we saw him and he told us that you were like being like rude to him in the group. I could like twitch and break limbs at that point. I was like, what? He thought I was being rude to him? I was like, I had never been nicer to him in my entire life. Like I was like, I had never been nicer to him. This whole year that was the nicest I've ever been to him in my entire year knowing him. I was so civil. I was so civil to that man. And then they was like, they knew not to really believe him because they said that when he came out, like he said his experience, and half the time he was talking, he was trash talking me. And I was like, that's crazy. That's actually crazy. So they both were like sitting there just letting him talk. They're like, okay, yeah, okay. And then they was like, yeah, he was like, oh, like you were being rude to him. And there was one time when like, basically we were like trying to come up with ideas of like, oh, like what type of programs would you have your residents do? So like there's people in the back, like RAs watching us and taking notes to see who like would be good for RA to make it to the 3rd level. So I was like, I gotta speak because if I don't talk, they're not going to be able to write my name down to say that I'm worthy to have to go to stage 3. So there was one time when I did interrupt him. And here's the thing. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to get my point out here. And then I was like, okay, again, like, sorry. I genuinely didn't mean to interrupt him because he was talking. And I just had an idea, so I just said it. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. And I said what I have to say. And I apologize. I was like, again, like, go back to what you were saying. So polite. So polite. I was so polite. And he was like, she was being mad rude to me. I'm like, and I think that's because I interrupted him that one time, so he probably took it as like a diss. But I literally was like, I was just trying to get my foot in the door because I was like, I gotta speak because these people are taking notes and I want to make sure they see me worthy of the 3rd stage. And the crazy part about it is that he didn't make it to the 3rd stage. I did, but then I didn't get it. So it's fine. Everything happens for a reason though. It's fine because if I would have became an RA, I would have never met my roommate my senior year. Like we became friends. We were co-workers and we became friends. So like I wouldn't have met her if I became an RA. So like everything happens for a reason. So I'm glad that I didn't become an RA because I wouldn't have met her. And we're cool. So anyway, that was just college. And I remember there was this other, sometimes there's just like, whenever there's like, this is not anything to do with men. It's just more just like students. But again, it was men in the class. I remember I was in my digital storytelling class. There was this one kid that was obnoxious. When I mean this boy was annoying, like this boy literally was giving, oh, like, I know how to do stuff. I'm such an expert. But then when it came to doing the actual assignment, this boy clueless. Paul Rudd, whatever the girl's name is, clueless. Like, when they're in clueless. This boy was so clueless, he didn't know what to do. Basically, we had this like editing software called Avid. This dinosaur ancient Egypt editing software, Avid. And we had to learn. The teacher didn't even give us time to learn it. He didn't teach it to us. He was like, you just have to figure out how to work it. And I was like, bro, this is like from the Ice Age. How am I supposed to learn how to edit on this? We have to figure out how to edit on it. And he claimed to know how to edit on it. While when it comes to Avid, and it came to us seeing his project that he had to edit, it was one of the worst projects I've ever seen. I was like, no tea, no shade. This is horrendous. If I was a professor, I would give you a C because this was bad. I was like, that? And you know how to edit on Avid, though. You're an expert. You edit on Avid when you was in community college and blah, blah. I was like, boy, where did the skills go? Because did you lose it or something? Because that was atrocious. I was like, boy, if you don't stop being a liar. And on top of that, he never did work. We had to tell him what to do. Bro. There were like 2 separate times when we were working on group projects with him. And me and my other 2 classmates, we were like, yo, why does he do no? Like, we had to tell him. First of all, the first time, we had to keep on telling him what to do. The second time we had to work on a project with him, he was late. It was us first. The first project we had to work on was just the 4 of us. Then the second project, there was like other two other girls that we ended up having to be our actors. So it was 6 of us. And we already knew he was annoying. So then for 2 other people to come into our group and realized how annoying he is, we had to apologize on his behalf. We're like, yo, heads up, he might be annoying. Just ignore him. Like, we were stuck with him until, like, the next project. Then the last project, we were free of him. We're like, leave us alone. Like, we don't want to work. I was like, we had to confront him. And the day that my 2 classmates confronted him, I went to a concert. So I was at an AJR concert. So I literally couldn't even be there to confront him. So I was texting them. I was like, tell me what happened. Like, confront him. Tell me what he says. And then they basically was like, oh, they just told him that he needs to, like, do better in his job. And that, like, he was like, okay. That was before we had to work with the second group. We would not listen. So then the 3rd time we had to work on a project, we would, like, go. He went with his friend. I was like, good riddance. So he was just like, he thought he knew everything, but also, like, he swore he was good at everything. And I was like, but you're not, though. And then on top of that, what tipped me on the iceberg was when we had the second group project working together, and in the credits, he spelled my name wrong. Oh. And the thing that what really pissed me off was, 1, I already didn't like this boy. 2, I went out of my way to make sure I knew how to spell his name right in my credits. And then for him to not even do the same thing for me, and he spelled my name wrong. I remember I didn't mean to yell, but I yelled in the middle of class. Not in the middle of class, like after his project was over. It was the credits, and I saw Amanda Cash. Oh, I was livid. I was like, Amanda! I told the story before on my podcast, I'm pretty sure, but I'm gonna tell it again. And then he was like, yeah. I was like, my name's Ananda. And we were in the same table. So I, like, looked at him. I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, my name's Ananda. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. No. And I was just like, and yeah, everyone heard it. The whole class heard me yell at him. I had it with him. I was like, I can't do this anymore. There's this other kid that was annoying in that class where, and of course, all the annoying people are always friends. Now, there was this other guy that people found annoying. I didn't find him annoying because there's 2 reasons. I had a crush on him, but also I understood why. Cause it was just because he talked so much in class. Like, he did talk a bit too much. Cause he was one of those students that doesn't shut up when they're excited in class. Because, like, sometimes the professor had to be like, okay, let me get to the lesson. And he's like, all right, sorry. But, like, he was just, like, he wasn't disrespectful, but you could just tell he was passionate about the movies we were talking about and just film as a subject. That, like, he couldn't shut up about it. Because, like, I understand the hype. I understand that type of energy with class. Like, when you're so excited and, like, you just want to keep talking. So I understood why he was talking. So people found that annoying. And I was like, I understand why he's like that. And also, I was like, but because there was, in the first project I had to work with, before I worked with the 4 people, it was just 2 girls that I had to work on the project. And then we were talking about something. And then one of the girls goes, oh, the cute boy that talks too much. And I was like, oh, so I'm not the only one that makes this cute. Got it. But yeah, I was like, I kind of understand why. I kind of understand why he talks a lot because, like, again, he's excited, he's passionate about film, and I'm the same way. But I'm just in social interactions with strangers. I'm just like, but like, I kind of talked to him a little bit. Like, I remember one time I was working on this project, and then I imagined me walking into him and us chit chatting and talking because whenever you have a crush on someone, the fantasies go crazy. So one day I was editing a project with my friend, with my classmate, and he actually showed up to the class. Like, he was in the editing room. There was no one else around. And I was like, oh. I was like, I thought about this in my head. I did not think this would happen in real life. So he came, and he sat in the row right in front of us, because he was like, oh, hey. And we were like, hey. And I was just like, oh my gosh, he's here. Oh, he's here. Okay. So I'm still editing my project with my classmate. And then because we didn't have headphones, because it was 2 of us editing. So we didn't have headphones we could both listen to, so we had to listen to it with, like, just on sound. So we're editing our project, and then he goes, oh, like, you guys are editing the project? And he was like, oh, can I see? And I was just like, sure, you can see. So then we looked at each other like, okay. So we were just like, okay, yeah, sure. And he saw it. Like, we weren't done, but he saw what we had so far, and he was like, oh, that's really cool. And then I was just like, he thinks so cool. Like, it was like one of those. But, like, the case in point, the annoying kid, of course he was friends with the kid I thought was cute. And I was like, why? And I think it was because he was just, like, he went up to the cute guy. And he was like, oh, like, hi, my name is so-and-so. Like, we should be friends, blah, blah. And I was like, like, ah. So then this other kid, his name, I'm not gonna say his name, but this other kid, the trio of annoying dudes, well, the third one I don't think was annoying, but the cute guy I didn't find annoying. But the other guy was also friends with them too. And this guy, I remember the first day of class, we were like talking like our like get to know each other, and I think we had to mention like our favorite show. And then one girl mentioned 13 Reasons Why. So then she said she likes the show because of like the what it's about and all that stuff. And then like 2 people down, it's his turn, and he just had to make a comment about the show, about like, oh, like I feel like 13 Reasons Why, like it like glorifies suicide and blah blah blah, and like basically like bashing her for calling that her favorite show, and not in the way to like be like, oh, like, because like also like he said glorifying suicide, which I never really agree with that. I don't think it glorified it. I think it just exposed how gruesome it is, because most people believe that's because of the Hannah Baker scene where they showed her slitting her wrist in the bathtub, and was like, that's too much. Where, listen, I will say that show, the last season, traumatic. Why was I watching it on my 21st birthday and I was sobbing? Whatever, we're past it. I have not watched that show again because of how crazy. Like, they had some scenes that were graphic and gruesome. The second season, when the boy was getting assaulted with the broomstick. If y'all saw that scene, y'all know what I'm talking about. Apparently they took it out. And I'm like, I was a part of the crowd that witnessed the Hannah Baker scene. That witnessed the broomstick scene. Oh, I literally had to pause it, because because, like, I was like, where was that boy's Oscar? Give him an Oscar, an Emmy, everything and above. Because I truly believe that he was legit having that broomstick stuck up him. Oh my gosh, that scene was gruesome and graphic. Oh, like, it wasn't like really graphic, but it was just like, oh, it gives me chills. Anyway, so basically he was like trying to like make her feel bad about having that be her favorite show. And I found like this ugly behavior. So when it came to my turn, I was like, I also like 13 Reasons Why because of blah, blah, blah. Basically, be like, girl, I'm on your side, because I'm not gonna, because I'm like, this is day 1 and you're already pissing me off. I'm like, okay, so you're annoying. You're annoying. Because why would you try to bash someone for having, just because you don't agree with the things that are going on in the show? Like, it's like, that was his one opinion that like, okay, I could kind of understand. But then it was just like, he kind of was like bashing her for making that her favorite show. And I was just like, you're ugly behavior. Anyway, so that's like just in college, just men just being annoying. But then also, then you go to dating men. Prayers sent above to God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Because what is wrong with men these days, dating wise? Oh my gosh. And I'm not talking about my social media crushes that I have. Like, I don't understand why I can't have like a Vinny Hacker or a Noah Beck or like anyone that's like attractive and a good person in my vicinity. Like, why? I just don't understand how, like, some men just, I don't understand. It just baffles me that, like, men just behave the way they do. Because, listen, a month ago, I did the sin. I committed a sin and I need to repent. I went on a dating app again. I need to repent for my sins because, oh my gosh, I was on there for a week. Because I think one time, I've been on dating apps a total like maybe 4 or 5 times. The first like 2 or 3, the first 2 times it was as a joke because I wanted to be like a troll on the internet. Hold on, my battery is dying. I had to switch cameras. Give me a second.